though has got favourite for success today. Franco Morbidelli. Do not discount some of the KTM threats coming from the second row. Politef at the podium. He would love to do that, but it'll be all eyes on that fourth row. Fabio Quartararo and Joan Mir starting along. The maths and the equations, there's so many permutations, but it's pretty simple. If Joan Mir's on the podium today, he is. Our 2020
down is on. They just have one corner left to make their way round to the grid. Here are your championship runners then. They just don't have the pace ready for this one. Joan Mir then lines up on the grid as the race winner here. How are his nerves heading into this one? And the same goes for Davide Brivio.
The live heart rate monitors rocketed. It was 70 beats per minute.
27 laps in MotoGP coming up right now. Lights out in Valencia. Good start there from Miller leads into turn one.
Good start
but
as well.
He's wide.
Miller's gone well wide. It was an excellent start by Alex Bark. Fabio Quartararo, an early disaster for him. He was out on the first lap last weekend with a crash at turn 8, and he's dropped to dead last running.
Quartararo, has his championship just been blown there on the approach to turn 2 already?
Completely. That's game over surely for Fabio Quartararo so far.
There is Joan Mir then, just behind Maverick Vinales, going through on Maverick Vinales and sitting up Maverick.
Try and just concentrate on what's ahead of him, work it out corner by corner, and then the championship will take care of itself.
Quartararo just
so hot at turn number 2, he did actually well to stop it before he got to the fence. There is Mir then at the moment, on course to be world champion. Morbidelli keeping his end of the bargain by leading the Grand Prix.
Across the line, the complete lap one. Morbidelli it is that leads then from Miller and Politef into turn 1. At present, Joan Mir, no real problem. 10th place would be fine as it stands.
Yeah, just what he... And that's exactly what he needed, just to settle those nerves. Now he can bed himself into the race. He'll be a little bit more relaxed now.
Cool, he's up into 18th place. Brad Binder has gone through. He's up to 8th ahead of Aleix Espargaro.
Can you believe it? The man who dominated the first 2 races.
Looking back at the Yamahas, Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi are 13th and 14th. There isn't a 2020 Yamaha. Rins. So Alex Rins has made a good start. He's made up 7 places already in this race. Are you with us, Matt?
I'm back.
He had nowhere to go. That's why he had to do that. It was so cramped and tight into turn 2 that he had to sins just behind Joan Zarco. Fastest lap to Jack Miller at 31.7. That's faster than any lap.
Aleix Espargaro ahead of him. Brad Binder there in 8th place. He's just put in another decent lap of a high 1:31. Only about
to navigate. There is Zarco, Rins and Binder. Just behind them, Aleix Espargaro.
There's quite a decent gap back to Pecco Bagnaia, which is now around 0.8 of a second, so he hasn't got to worry about anything from behind.
Up towards turn 11, Pramac Ducati rider Jack Miller. Position he wanted to be in.
I was just about to say, can you believe Fabio Quartararo having made such a strong start to the season? At the moment,
I know how bizarre it would be, and what a disaster it would be to drop out of the top 3 overall. Mir's just for the race leader. Is this Morbidelli grabbing his ticket to say bye-bye?
That's Pecco Bank. Ray Monitor and Davide Brivio doesn't know what to do with himself, does he? He's just twiddling with his fingers, grabs the mask. He really doesn't know when.
Able to find a way through on Joan Zarco. Like Morbidelli has shown previously, you only have to look back. He can be untouchable.
Yeah, it's almost like Jorge Lorenzo style performance, isn't it, from Frankie Morbidelli? Just under 0.4 of a second back. He's got about 0.3 to Pol Espargaro. They're all ganging up now behind Taka Nakagami. And at the moment, he'd have worked out in his head. He'll know exactly what's going on in terms of the championship, and he'll know he can see Rins, so he'll know that he's not a threat. That's another position recovered for Fabio after his off-track excursion on the first lap.
It's another 31.4 now from Frank.
Disrupting their high corner speed, fast lines, that's what they can do. The problem now for Fabio Quartararo is that being Morbidelli last weekend, I think 9 of Yamaha's 10 podiums this year have come from front row starts. If they can qualify well.
Bolting right in a moment. Oh yeah, he's trying to thread the needle there, wasn't he, Fabio Quartararo? And in all fairness to the Frenchman, he's probably trying to avoid race leader then. His long dark locks flowing out of the helmet that features his 2 nation attentive of him on the straight, then that's a battle Yamaha won't win.
Yeah, that big mistake from Pecco Bagnaia on the last lap at turn.
Here comes Rins. He had to make a move on Zarco, but he's gone wide and deep. Is he going to be able to hold on to it now on the home straight? Because
and drive down the straight, and he's now got Brad Binder swarming all over his rear tyre.
Oh, Zarco's gone down. He's asked too much of the front.
That's another point gain there, of course, for Joan Mir. Simon, some thoughts on turn one. Is that a wind-affected crash, do you think, mate?
Front straight, and the usual brake marker is over the limit.
Yeah, good point, well made. Zarco out there, and as it stands, Mir would have 27 points ahead of Morbidelli, which would be good enough to clinch the title.
A couple of times last weekend he had to dip out the back of the pit box, didn't he, because he just couldn't watch.
Yeah, couldn't watch it. It's too nervous. If he never made a move, he went through on Taka Nakagami, so Nakagami's dropped back a place. Now, with Zarco out of the equation, what can Alex Rins
so often about this young man, Joan Mir, having such a mature, wise old head on young shoulders? He's not in a position now that he's got the necessary risk just to pick up a couple of places. Nakagami runs wide again, another rider then that's overshot turn one, that tricky braking zone.
A 31.4 from Franco Morbidelli out front, whose lead now is 7 tenths.
Yeah, I mean, he's just reeling off, not that much slower. In fact, it's a whisker, nothing between them, but it's just that little tenth that Morbidelli's able to stretch out of the Australian. Morbidelli already in the first 2 sectors has found 3 tenths on Miller.
He'd be a frustrating rider to follow and try and chase Franco Morbidelli to 8 tenths.
This will make him the joint top most successful rider in terms of wins this year, won't it, with Fabio Quartararo? So that are their reliability problems, criticism coming from Quartararo, Rossi and Vinales about the performance of the 2020 bike. But Yamaha
range, isn't it? Across the line here we go then to complete lap 7. If you're thinking how are Suzuki's in this position today when they were so dominant last week, well, to back racers at the same circuit, and these guys have all found a bit of extra speed. There are extraordinary pressure.
How much of a hole did that mistake at turn one punch in Taka Nakagami's chances of a first MotoGP podium? Oh, the nerves have settled slightly then for Davide Brivio. The heart rate might have come down by a little bit, but to such a famous triumph.
Here is Miguel Oliveira, the Tech 3 rider, currently in 4th. Rider Pol Espargaro. Nakagami falling into the hands gradually of Alex Rins. Rins knows he's got to be on the top 2.
All got through on him. He's dropped back to 18.
You've got to think it's all over, haven't you? Nakagami's just been given a track.
Dealing with some kind of front tyre pressure problems. Who knows, hard to tell from the outside, but at the moment it's been a rather... His championship really stuttered and stumbled. 7 of his last 9 finishes have not even been top 6s for Fabio Quartararo.
They're all forming a bit of a queue here behind Miguel Oliveira. Alex Rins looks pretty desperate. We're on board with him now to get through on the LCR Honda. He's down, and that's it, it's over.
Oh,
it's completely over now.
It's been an absolute nightmare, Here, down and well and truly out. Turn 6 then has ended Fabio Quartararo's challenge here in Valencia, and hope that Yamaha can put a more competitive M1 underneath him when he moves to the factory team next year. He was offline there a bit, wasn't he?
He's 5th. As a result of that right now.
He had an absolute horrendous time in the 2 Aragon races. He's had a nightmare here, again in the race here today.
As it stands, Mir would be the champion. Mir was in the 32s on that last lap, rather worryingly. They're trying to get this bike fixed, but it doesn't really matter.
He said, of course, I'll fight until I'm completely out of it, but nothing has gone his way here this weekend. He said they've been so off the pace, indication of how deep the hole Fabio Quartararo has been in this weekend. That deep, he's nearly struck oil.
Alex Rins between Morbidelli and Miller. Pol Espargaro still there, 6 tenths behind Miller in 3rd. This is the battle for 4th. Now the classic block pass, and Alex Rins, very close to the action as well.
Lovely that by Taka Nakagami. It looks like he's got quite a big gap, 2 seconds he is behind Pol Espargaro at this stage of the race, although we've not even reached half any Yamaha inside the top 10. He's in 11th, just a couple of places ahead of his teammate Valentino Rossi. He's scrapping with he wants himself. It's just the fact that Frankie Morbidelli yet again is just that 10th quicker. Rins fires the Suzuki up the first to Nakagami at turn 14 on the previous lap, and now Rins picks him off at turn 6.
Yeah, starting to walk seconds to make up now. 17 laps to do it. Next on the list here, looks like Brad Binder might be having a Espargaro. He's in 8th. On board now with Mir in 9th. Alicia's doing a good job holding on to a spot in the top 10, but is there a move coming here?
To ride on board then with the potential future world champion. Joan Mir then now, he can barely look at the screen. And 2020 MotoGP glory. It's a 2020 that's ending in disaster for Fabio Quartararo. And Man campaign to get Dobby to sign that contract. Fabio Quartararo then, he's going to be left to contemplate what might have been.
Yeah, it has. It's not been an easy read, has it? The end of that book. So 16 lap lead, which would be enough to wrap it all up. Dovi ready to pounce on Aleix Espargaro. This is the best there. The gap now out front, Morbidelli has got up to a 1.1 second lead.
Fabio Quartararo not where he wanted to be, defeated in the World Championship, and a frustrated spectator now for the mistake running in hot at turn 2 as he tried to avoid Maverick Vinales, and then from there on he was really suffering. He dropped back to 18th, he was trying to recover. Mir is doing everything that he could have asked to have been done so far. He's raced so smartly, he didn't try and make any moment, make the move when he was absolutely crystal clear, concrete sure he was going to be able to make it clean and stick.
And with the clear air can catch up to this group ahead.
Franco Morbidelli's got his lead out to over a second for the first time then now.
It's just ticking off the mid-131s and he's staying there. There's just no answer from anyone at the moment. He's not making, sort of hovering behind Jack Miller. Here is the battle.
There's a lot of blue on that virtual fan wall. And it's Fabio Quartararo fans that sadly are feeling blue right now with him down and early.
No surprise to see that midway through this race, Nakagami's pace has just been upped. Look at that. Look, just unbelievable pace and rhythm from the Italian.
Such a cool customer as well in this situation. He never 100 laps, let alone 14.
Ramon Fagada there has seen it all before though, hasn't he?
I wonder what 3, because his pace, as Steve just mentioned, red hot, 3/10 quicker than Espargaro on the last lap, but he's trying.
It's happened a lot, hasn't it, this year for Nakagami? It's always been a little too late in his attempt.
Vizioso, once he got through on the Aprilia man, Andrea Vizioso with a heart rate, you'd think that Davide Brivio was having
here in Valencia. 9/10 in it between Morbidelli and Miller. Miller's keeping him honest, that's for sure. This is Joan Mir, the world champion.
Taka Nakagami's doing a very Taka Nakagami job right now. Another personal best lap of his race, a 31. Big life left in Nakagami's podium challenge.
Cal Crutchlow here in 13th, just behind him, Valentino Rossi.
0.6 of a second away from the front running pace. These two, of course, huge experience. Valentino Rossi out next season as the official Yamaha test rider, one of the greatest British riders in MotoGP history. You think of Cal Crutchlow among those absolute legends from the UK.
On board with his team, trying to find his way onto a MotoGP podium for the first time. There's plenty of life left in this race yet for him to be able to catch down this man in the field once more.
Yeah, there's now a bit of breathing space for Mir. The position is the 2 Repsol Honda men. Alex Marquez, who's going to be feeling very second-hand, a bruising, vicious high side yesterday in his high speed, about 300 kilometres now in the braking zone for that first corner, and he'll be hoping that adrenaline can get him through to the checkered flag here, the younger
Alex Rins, who's just behind. Joe Cecchinello watching on, desperate for his rider to get that.
He's got plenty of time, over 11 laps, to hunt down Espargaro.
Here is the gap for your own eyes. Franco Morbidelli with a 9/10 lead over Jack Miller and Espargaro. Factorers in the top 5 at the moment. It's Yamaha, a 29 spec, 2019 spec, Ducati, KTM, the World Championship leader, who as it stands is still in line to wrap this one up. It's 8/10 now.
Yeah.
A round of applause there.
The pressure on Franco Morbidelli, trying to force the Italian into an error, which he's not too often prone to making, is he? Gaps come down to, he's up to about 1.5 just a few laps ago.
Yeah, he doesn't buckle very often, does he, Franco Morbidelli? He's about to be been known to fade a bit towards the end of races, although Franco showed no signs of that in Aragon a couple of weekends ago. Jack Miller in 2016, but it was in those wet conditions, and how much he would love to stand on the top step. Gap down to 7/10 now.
Game on. Who could forget Valencia 2006? It's down to 0.6 of a second.
That's more like it. Dovi makes a move on Aleix Espargaro as well in 7th, so Mir might yet make up another spot.
That 1:31.378 from Miller, sensational job by him. He's on that medium front tyre as well, which you've got to feel is going to wear that slightly faster than the hard.
Because, as we've mentioned before, Morbidelli won't make this easy. Further back, he's dropped Espargaro in 3rd. Pole's actually struggling at the moment.
Turn 1 has regrouped exceptionally well. And at the moment, he's eyeing one prize, and that's his first ever MotoGP podium.
See that move, so Binder's now up into 6th place. He's now starting to lap well, as he did this time last week. on course to try and fight for his first podium behind Espargaro.
Well, this time last week it was Espargaro third, Taka Nakagami fourth, first MotoGP podium. He's been so close on more than one occasion so far this year. He's really piling the pressure.
Stays at 8/10 and it's grown again to 9/10 in sector 1.
Fairer, and in turn he's about 7/10 clear of Andrea Dovizioso behind him.
Yeah, you're a company right now, which is good news for him and probably good news for Davide Brivio's heart rate as well.
Well, he knows that 8th place, perfectly good enough to win the World Championship. This is a great battle. This is going to be the move. Here he comes up the inside at turn 14.
And he's down! Oh! He's down and he almost wipes Espargaro with him. Taka Nakagami, he had the speed, he didn't need to make the move there. With 8 laps to go, he had so much more rear down and out, and he almost took Espargaro with him.
Oh, Taka Nakagami, brake on, trail brake down the hill, and the front end just cried no more. Gravity took over, and it's another golden chance. Taka Nakagami to LTR Honda. He was, what, third for about 5 yards and then dumped it.
Lido going to stay in P1. The gap is 7/10 of a second. Jack Miller's trying everything he can to could he become the 10th different winner of this 2020 season. He'd be a very, very popular winner. That's
the screens as well, because his man's doing a magnificent job. It's been very much Thriller Miller so far. The gap 6/10. First lap looks so good, but he's having to fend off the hard-charging Jack Miller now. Espargaro
coming up towards sector 2 shortly, and we'll see what the...
Yeah, and this would be a first proper full dry race victory for Jack Miller, won't it? The 25-year-old UP Casey Stoner, of course, Troy Bayliss, World Superbike glory as well with Troy Corsa. There's just something about
any half a tenth he can find here or there. He just cannot quite get into contention yet. There's time. How will Frank wrong? You've just got to make sure everything you do is absolutely precise. Well, still 7/10.
At least Frankie can't relax. He's
10th it is over the line. He's been told it's half a second, so let's see how he responds.
Absolutely nothing between the laps.
Everything A-OK with 6 laps to go for Joan Mir.
Fair play to Mir as well. He's still the man at the front of this Grand Prix.
A little bit further behind these guys, you can see his first top 5 for quite some time.
Miller's got it down to 4/10 of a second. It's coming down.
On board with Jack Miller, trying to hunt down Premier class. Up the hill we go, turning left through turn 13.
It's been very much the
wow.
Oh, he's got some trust and confidence in that medium front tyre. Ducati have never had an independent team right
in any trouble at all, because that's the first time I think I've seen Morbidelli in the 132s. It was a 31-7 way, but we're focused on this battle for the ultimate win here at the Valencian Grand Prix. Jack Miller through turn 4. It's for Ducati rider Jack Miller.
Yeah, this has been the best race from Miller for quite some time. What were they last time around? Miller was about 3/10 of a second quicker. And how deep was he able to brake and stop that Ducati? And Dewey Miller looking on to see if their man can fend off Jack Miller.
But what you want now is a heart rate monitor on Francesco Guidotti to remain. The gap's still hovering around 4/10. Will that come down when Jack's able to wind up his Ducati power onto the start? Has Morbidelli responded? He has, a 31.9, and it was a 32 flat for Miller. It's as you were.
Second to his fellow Spaniard. Joan Mir then 4 laps away from the best moment of his life. Pretty rapidly right now is Mir.
Coping with the pressure wonderfully at this moment in time is Morbidelli. The gap's just creeped up again. Any which way you can find anything, and it must be so frustrating because Morbidelli just isn't making any
outs of performance out of that Pramac Ducati, out of those Michelin tyres, and out of himself.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Both this MotoGP race, 4/10 again in it through sector 3. No change behind the team then. Morbidelli creeps on the power of his Petronas Yamaha 2019 machine. Behind him is Franco, can cope with the pressure.
There is Joan Mir, then the helicopter shot, looking down on
Frankie Carcetti in the middle of the picture. He's
doesn't know what to do with
He doesn't
himself.
even want to look
No.
at the screens. There's 12 kilometres left.
Years of work and sacrifice for 27 laps for Joan Mir, and he's so close now to a famous position with American Kenny Roberts Jr.
Alex Rins is going to have to coach. Still yet finished second overall. At this moment, he's got to defend the South African Brad Binder in the remaining few laps.
Suzuki on course to be Constructor Kings for the first time since 1982.
Laps left here in Valencia, and Morbidelli is putting on an amazing defensive display, but it's just 3. Terry, calm down, the championship will be yours.
Thumbs up, job done so far. He has not put a foot wrong, has he, Joan Mir? He's within touching distance of pure and utter delirium.
I'm quite nervous about this. It looks like it's a lot less as they come through Sector 2 shortly. Can Jack Miller do anything about Franco Morbidelli out front?
Miller continues to try and get that elusive dry race victory for Ducati.
It's because there is a hell of a speed difference between these two motorcycles.
And Miller's been exceptional over the crest here through turn 12, up the hill tyre. The drive now is going to be crucial onto this straight. And he's close, he's very close. Can he pick up some slip?
Going through like a rocket, and he leads! Can he get the bike stopped into turn 1?
With the wind behind him and a bit of slipstream as well, he runs for a late no. Morbidelli pinches it back.
On the cut back, that was lovely. Morbidelli then is saying, I'm not giving this one up just yet. Miller.
Jack Miller then.
Oh,
Morbidelli at turn 5.
Morbidelli!
There was no room there, but he finds room. Brilliant. How aggressive was that from Franco Morbidelli?
Already, and we've got another half of it to go. Mir's on his final lap. To MotoGP glory. I thought there was a move coming there into turn 8, but he thinks better.
Turn number 11. He's going to try and line it up through turn 10. Is he going to be close enough here? Oh no! They almost touch. How close was that? No, a brilliant victory here.
That was a clever defensive move from Franco Morbidelli into turn 11, and Jack's now got to somehow find any time race win. Who will take it out of the last corner? Here comes Miller in the slipstream.
He needs some Ducati power.
He's not. Morbidelli is the world champion of 2020 in MotoGP.
What a race in Valencia is pouring out. He is 2020 MotoGP world champion, 7th place in Valencia, and he's done it.
Zealand-Borgberg before the celebrations begin for Mir.
Wilco, I was biting my nails. What was it like for you? What a ride.
Yeah, last weekend, can we change the ball? I said, we can win next race here in Valencia, and yeah, I'm so happy we did that.
Big congratulations.
All about now. We'll talk about Franco Morbidelli and Jack Miller very shortly, but the celebrations begin for this young man.
Junior, 20 years ago in 2000. He's just tracking those fireworks going down the main grandstand, isn't he, Joan?
Brilliant stuff for Joan Mir. Franco Morbidelli's about to enter pit lane to raucous celebrations for the year, and he's second in the World Championship now as a result as well.
Moments that you work your entire life for, all the sacrifices that go on behind the scenes that we don't see. And what a way for Suzuki to mark, or Suzuki in the past. Barry Sheen, Marco Lucinelli, Franco Uncini, of course, still so important in MotoGP. Kevin
Name to that list 20 years later. It's a thumbs up and a burnout celebration in what has been an unbelievable season. The 2020 MotoGP World Champion Joan Mir. Thumbs up, and they give him a big round of applause. And Joan Mir jumps.
We could jump again on the podium in the 5th of the season. It's just unbelievable.
Great job, Paul.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So it's awesome to see, and yeah, hopefully we can be back here in Portimao.
Congratulations to you, Jack.
Cheers, son.
Yeah, unfortunately we lost the championship.